I've become friends with school shooters.
You bully the out of him back. You push back.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal.
I pray this morning I can be a vessel of yours.
Je prie que ce matin, nous soyons un instrument pour...
I think this politically motivated, these incidents are going to be reoccurring as long as this rhetoric keeps up between politicians. I just can't see it getting any less right now, especially in a state with Tim Walz.
Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce.
There were some flyers that said no kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no kings event.
Tragic day today, guys. Melissa Hortman, John Hoffman, I'm sure you heard about this crazy shooting. Unfortunately, Hortman and her husband were killed because some lunatic decided that they were going to impersonate a police officer, uniform and vehicle. You don't normally hear about that one. Police officer and uniform and vehicle is usually one or the other, and usually the vehicle is like a bad impersonation, but apparently this one was pretty good.
The question is, how did we get to Representative Hortman's house, and it was proactively or not. The circumstances that unfolded in Brooklyn Park this morning is that we assisted the Champlin Police Department on a shooting. That shooting was made aware by one of our sergeants that it was at Senator Hoffman's home. In hearing that very intuitive sergeant asked our officers to go check on Melissa Hortman's home, the representative that lives in our community, just proactively as due diligence to swing by. That police officer and his partner pulled down the street when they arrived at Melissa's house. They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the lights, emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
Was this an actual police officer or an impersonating police officer?
Yes, the question is, was it a real person or a person impersonating a police officer? It was not a real police officer. This is somebody that clearly had been impersonating a police officer, again, using the trust of this badge and this uniform to manipulate their way into the home.
So, Chief Early, janitorial parallel, the person not only was wearing a badge posing as a police officer, when they approached their victims, they had a car with lights and sirens?
Yes, the question is, what kind of vehicle and how were they dressed? They did drive a vehicle that looked exactly like an SUV squad car. It was equipped with lights, emergency lights that looked exactly like a police vehicle. And yes, they were wearing a vest with taser, other equipment that would, a badge very similar to mine, that no question, if they were in this room, you would assume that they are a police officer.
Crazy that somebody would go through all this effort to kill people that they disagreed with politically in cold blood. Now, this person was a Tim Walz appointee. Now, do with that information what you will. I'm not saying that they are a Democrat or radical leftist. We don't know. People switch sides and think different things all the time. So we don't know exactly. But what we do know is that they had a no kings. They had a bunch of no kings signs in their vehicle, in that they were a Tim Walz appointee. Now, because this person's still at large, as of recording this video, still out there somewhere, probably looking to kill more before they're inevitably taken out or sent to prison or whatever's going to happen to them, hopefully taken out, because we shouldn't be paying for this person to keep living. The police want No Kings Day to be canceled because they're like, hey, this person's still armed and dangerous. Y'all out here in big groups of people. Even Tim Walz has come out and he said he doesn't want these people to continually be out there because he's afraid more people are going to get hurt.
Good morning, Colonel Christina Bogoyevich with the Minnesota State Patrol. Given the targeted shootings of state lawmakers that happened overnight, we are asking the public to not attend today's planned demonstrations across Minnesota out of an abundance of caution. I'll stand for any questions.
Are there reasons to believe that these events were also targeted by the person in the manifesto in the car?
We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said no kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no kings event.
Now, of course, the fake news is already putting their spin on this, and they're trying to point fingers, right? Like, okay, is this person a radical leftist? Are they a right-wing extremist? I mean, honestly, nobody knows for sure. I do think that it definitely points, it leans toward being a radical left extremist, since they had the No Kings sign. I mean, you just no way to know until we get additional information. Apparently there was some sort of manifesto. I don't know why these weirdos always just write everything out. What do they just, I really hate these people, and they just keep, I just don't get it, guys. Like, it's obviously going to point towards you at some point. Somebody's going to raid your car, they're going to raid your house, they're going to look through your phone, they're going to do something to find out who you are, why you did what you did, who's next on your list. I mean, whatever information that's private that you probably don't want other people to know. And it's very unfortunate, but this person apparently was after mostly Democrats, so there's definitely some mixed signals going on here.
What we're told from law enforcement sources briefed on the investigation is that there are a cache of additional weapons inside that car, indicating that the suspect was loaded for additional targets, possible confrontations with law enforcement or security, a large amount of ammunition. In an ammunition bag, they found a Father's Day card, presumably addressed to the suspect. But there is also this manifesto which lays out his issues, and on top of that, a very, very long list of names, approximately 70 names. This includes numerous state legislators from Minnesota, but it also includes other elected officials, a couple of mayors. It includes other places in Minnesota, including medical clinics, abortion providers, pro-life advocates, and it includes some locations and individuals from out of state. What does that tell us? It poses the question of what was the ultimate game plan? Was it to continue to get through this list, to go as far down with as many attacks or assassinations as possible until he was stopped by police? What we know now is that at his first location, he did his first attack in the pre-dawn hours of the morning in the darkness, that preemptively police went to the second location where the nearest other elected state official was and ran straight into the suspect. The Brooklyn Park, Minnesota police exchanged shots with the individual, which caused him to flee towards the house and then into the darkness. But that also made him leave that car, all of that evidence, and potentially part of his plan behind. Now, with the idea that they exchanged gunfire, the fact that he was described as wearing a tactical vest, probably body armor, likely bullet resistant, he may be wounded, or the vest may have deflected that, but he is with whatever weapons he had on him, without a vehicle, and still theoretically on the move somewhere in that area that he could have gotten by foot, or perhaps called an associate or a friend to pick him up.
Now, MSDNC and ABC Fake News, they have their story going where they're trying to paint the person as a right-wing extremist, and MSDNC is even trying to blame Trump for this because, hey, J6, why not blame it on Trump?
Said at the press conference earlier, Morgan, that they had found a list inside of that car that he had at one of the lawmakers' homes. Remember, they said that it looked like a police cruiser with lights flashing, and now sources are telling us a bit more about exactly who was on that list that was found in the car. They're saying that it included multiple Democratic lawmakers, both at the state and the federal level. That included Governor Tim Walz, who we heard speaking earlier today. It includes the Democratic State Attorney General, Keith Ellison. It also includes Congressman Ilhan Omar, who, of course, is quite outspoken and known from that state, and another senator from Minnesota, Tina Smith. So those are high-level, notable names. We're also told that investigators are looking into whether or not this suspect or person of interest was possibly motivated by extreme views on abortion. So a little bit more coming out about who this individual could have been targeting and perhaps why. But again, we've heard from law enforcement that this is a rapidly developing situation. They are getting more information, and they are also learning as they go.
The fact that these are two Democratic lawmakers that have been attacked, one killed and one right now fighting for his life in a hospital after being shot multiple times. Do you have any doubt, any concern that because of political differences, biases, this will not be addressed the way it should be?
It should be apolitical, right? That's what we have seen from Republican and Democratic administrations up until this one. Right now, Donald Trump has in place people who are more loyal to him than they are to the Constitution and the rule of law. And what really, if I can rewind the tape, if I can, just 4 months ago, we saw this president pardon violent January 6 offenders, people who were convicted.
1,500 of them.
1,500. He just pardoned them. That, to me, normalized political violence. These are people, Alex, that he summoned to Washington. He told them, come to D.C. We'll be wild, he says in a tweet. And they come to Washington at his behest. They come with their zip ties. They come with their weapons. They come with their bear spray. And he tells them to march down to the Capitol and to fight like hell. And they do exactly that until he tells them to stop.
To peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
I feel like your ratings have to go down anytime you bring up J6. It just has to. Why does this keep being a thing? It's years later. I mean, are we going to be talking about this like when I have a kid that graduates high school? Are we still going to be talking about J6, or are we going to be talking about the political violence of today? For crying out loud, there's been 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump. One of them hit him in the freaking ear. You've had ICE agents be injured with people throwing a bunch of rocks at them. I mean, you had all of these violent protests on campus from these violent Gaza protesters who people just low lives. I mean, today you had a woman and her husband get killed by a person impersonating police officers. Luigi Mangione killed United Healthcare CEO. Donald Trump didn't kill not one police officer on that day. It just seems like the left always has, the fake news always has like a duty to blame the right for everything. So this is somehow Donald Trump's fault. I've already seen a bunch of people saying this all over the internet. It's Donald Trump's fault that people that we don't know the political affiliation of are violent. Basically, you stub your toe, it's Donald Trump's fault. You get an fender bender in your car, it's Donald Trump's fault. Some crazy person decides to go out there and assassinate senators and representatives, is Donald Trump's fault. They impersonate police officers. Everything's Trump, Trump, Trump. The Trump derangement is off the charts. But more important to this is the fact that you have an extremist out here. They're at large, and a bunch of people are gathering today that are mentally ill so that they can protest a guy who's just trying to utilize his executive authority. And for some reason, they feel like this is what kings do. Kings don't have executive authority. They have absolute authority. They do what they want. They want to take your wife. They taking them. If they're like, hey, I want to take your child, they're taking your child. Donald Trump is literally doing things that every president ever has done, including the stuff that he's done with tariffs, including the way he's negotiated with presidents. There's nothing different. Deportations, all stuff that every single president has done. These people are stupid as hell. I do hope that none of them get hurt. I actually don't want to see these people get hurt. Maybe their feelings, but that's about it. I don't want to see anybody physically get hurt. And hopefully they catch this maniac, and hopefully the fake news gets egg on their face again. Because if this person turns out, the Tim Walz appointee turns out to be a left-wing, radical left extremist, then even though this isn't a laughing matter, when it comes to that, I will be laughing in their face on this channel. But I don't know for sure. I have not made claims one way or the other. So we shall see. Hopefully they find this guy, get him off the streets. And I mean, look, just go ahead and just put some bullets in him. Like, I'm tired of paying for all these freaking killers out here. There's too many people out here doing killings and mass shootings and evil stuff, and then we got to pay for them and due process, this, that, third. Look, they resisted. They resisted. We got to a gunfight. We took them out. Like, whatever. Do what you got to do. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint.